Do you want to learn how to write a creative brief? If you're new to marketing, or if you're handling this process as part of your startup rather than hiring a creative team, you may not be familiar with how to write a creative brief. Every creative marketing project should start with a structured outline of the project's objectives, messaging, and audience. I'm Noel with Jotform, and in today's video we'll explain what you should include in a creative brief and give you some practical tips on how to write each section. Let's get into it. The best type of creative brief is a short, detailed one. Your brief should outline the creative process to the creative project manager, marketing department, or creative agency. Briefs also help you communicate with a client so you can ensure the project's goals, intended audience, and messaging meet their expectations. Your creative brief can also serve as a roadmap for freelancers that you hire. Basically, it should be detailed enough so that anyone who reads it understands the project goals and deliverables. If you want an uncomplicated guide to creating your brief, just follow these 8 steps. Our first step is simple. Get started. Before you write a word, first speak to the project stakeholders and get the relevant background info. This info will help you understand what they want to accomplish with a specific ad, social media campaign, or marketing project. During your meeting, get a list of what's important to stakeholders or clients, as well as the key messages they want to get across to their audience. Ask the client to verify their intended audience and ask stakeholders to share their value proposition for those targets. One of the best ways to produce a professional briefing document is to look at examples of good creative briefs or even use a ready-to-go template. Jotform has a free creative template that you can use to cut down on the amount of time you spend formatting, ensuring that your document has a polished look. When it comes to starting the writing portion of your creative brief, it's best to start with the background section. This section sets the tone and context of your brief and should consist of a few brief sentences. You can use this space to specify the mission and goals associated with the creative project. It's a good idea to distinguish this section from the others by adding a heading such as background or brand statement. Next up is defining your objectives. After the background section, you should address the objectives that will guide the creative work and explain the overall project needs. An effective creative brief quantitatively and qualitatively describes the intent of the project in order to inform the internal team about what they need to accomplish. You should state all of that here in this section. Now you want to focus on your target audience. In order to create an engaging social media campaign, ad, blog post, or email message, you have to know what interests your audience. In this section, define the audience segments. The details covered are basic demographic info such as age, gender, and geographic location. Make sure to also delve deeper, adding factors like customer pain points and motivations. If your team or client already has a buyer persona, include a summary of that info in this section. After defining your target audience, you'll want to include a section describing the competition. This includes what your competitors are doing, what has worked for them, and what has failed or underperformed. Competitor analysis can help you lay the foundation for the approach you plan to take with your creative project. Focus on differentiating your brand and project while aligning all activities with your brand's value proposition. Up next is outlining your plan of action. A key aspect in writing a creative brief involves listing where the target audience will see the campaign. Include info about the campaign messages and format, as well as the intended channels or platforms. Your promotional strategy should reflect where your target audience spends their time. For example, if your audience includes millennials and Gen Z adults, make a list of the platforms where your targeted prospects already participate, such as Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. Just one final step to go. Once you've drafted up your creative brief, seek feedback from others, such as the rest of your team, other stakeholders, or your client. Send your brief out as a draft so you can elicit ideas, recommended changes, and additional content to ensure that it captures the campaign's purpose and goals. Collaboration helps build a successful creative brief. It unified efforts to deliver a high-performing campaign, one that provides a positive return on the marketing investment and achieves the campaign's strategic goals. If you're new to the world of creative briefs, you'll have a system down in no time. Just remember to follow our steps and you'll be well on your way. Let's do a quick review. First, get started by asking stakeholders the important questions. Second, benchmark creative brief samples and use templates to maximize your time and minimize efforts. Third, start your brief off right by beginning with the background and context info. Fourth, define your objectives. Fifth, describe your target audience. Sixth, take a look at competitors and address the competitive landscape. Seventh, outline your plan of action so all employees and stakeholders are on the same page. And eighth, get feedback. Thanks for watching Jotform. I'm Noel. We'll see you next time.